Hey guys, Eric and Joshua here, and we are reeling from the news that Marvel and Fox have teamed up and will directly co-produce together not one, but two different X-Men related TV series, Hellfire for the Fox network and Legion for FX. So we got a lot to talk about here, but Joshua, what is your first reaction hearing this news?
There was like running around and screaming in the office when this news hit. I'm just like, what? Like, these two companies hate each other, and really you chose those two properties to adapt, and how are they gonna do this? You know, so again, there are, tons of questions to ask, but it's exciting. I'm all for more superheroes on TV.
So yeah, Kirsch, for people who don't recognize exactly what those are off the name, Hellfire is the Hellfire Club, and the description says it's set in the 1960s. Very interesting, given the X-Men movies, and that it is about a young special agent learning that a power-hungry woman with extraordinary abilities is working with a clandestine society of millionaires known as the Hellfire Club to take over the world. I hate when that happens.
And in the comics, the characters, like you might know, like Emma Frost was like the White Queen, Sebastian Shaw was the Black King, characters like that. Of course, we all know the Dark Phoenix saga that happened because of the Hellfire Club. So those are the kind of characters to think of when you think of Hellfire Club.
Though they pointedly don't mention names here, so we'll see. And then Legion, if you don't recognize Legion's name, if you were to describe him, you'd say it's Professor X's son. But the plot description says that it's the story of David Haller, that's his name in the comics. Since he was a teenager, David has struggled with mental illness. Diagnosed as schizophrenic, David has been in and out of psychiatric hospitals for years, but after a strange encounter with a fellow patient, he's confronted with the possibility that the voices he hears and the visions he sees might be real. So this is crazy. It's Marvel and Fox teaming up. It's the producers of the X-Men movies, Bryan Singer, Lawrence Schiller-Donner, and Simon Kinberg. Marvel TV's Jeff Loeb, all working together. And I guess the big question let's ask here, not right off the top, we already talked about some stuff, but why? Like, why do you think Marvel and Fox would do this deal when we know that there's not a lot of happiness at Marvel over the fact that Fox has the movie rights to the X-Men in the first place, and that the MCU can't really touch those characters?
Yeah, well, we do know that Marvel, it appears to us, from what we know, that Marvel has the TV rights to the X-Men.
Right.
For example, we've seen Wolverine in the Spider-Man
animated
series. So, but why would they want to team up for these shows? Well, I think it would because they want to use Fox's resources, and part of that being the continuity of the Marvel movies.
Yeah, I feel like, you look at Marvel and obviously they're doing so well, with all these movies. They're growing TV stuff with Netflix and ABC. So you could say, oh, why don't they just let X-Men be? Like, oh, well, we have nothing to do with that. But at the same time, Fox said we were negotiating with Marvel to make this happen because, like Joshua said, it seemed like they couldn't do an X-Men show without Marvel's participation. But, for Marvel, they have to accept, I think, that they're not getting the X-Men back. Everyone's like, give everything back to Marvel. But even with Sony, they had to make a deal. Sony still has Spider-Man. Yeah, Fantastic Four bombed, so who knows? But X-Men's doing really well. They've got multiple movies. So I just feel like, at the end of the day, these are two giant companies who do want to make money, that maybe they were just like, hey, all right, what can we do to work this out? And maybe we can work out merchandising rights in a different way for these TV shows specifically, where everyone's happy. And that this can all be participation, because being realistic, Marvel knows X-Men's a big deal for us, but we're not getting back the film rights anytime soon. So that's, again, but we can only speculate,
Yeah, there's a lot of question marks about this.
Yeah, and there's questions about maybe, and who knows, we might find out something any minute now. Maybe some other deal was made behind the scenes,
like a scene to be like, hey, if we make these shows together, could we maybe get Fantastic Four back to Marvel kind of deal?
Right. It's like, and again, we don't know. I mean, but it just seems like, what was exactly the leverage? But even without that, I just feel like Marvel must have been saying, hey, okay, we're not getting X-Men back, so maybe we can do something that will make everyone happy. And a business deal here. And it's pretty notable that it's two shows, just for Fox and FX, with a lot of notable people involved. We should say Noah Hawley, who's the guy who does Fargo, which is one of my favorite shows, is writing Legion.
Yeah, so top-notch talent is being put on this,
Yeah, and again, it's amazing to think that they keep these deals secret while they're working it all out,
Yeah, we heard rumors about that something was in the works, but now this is it.
This is it, and it's big. The other big question I want to ask you is, okay, so Marvel and Fox teaming up for a TV show. We don't know anything yet. No one's revealed any more details, but would you want it to be set in the MCU? Would you want it to be set in the X-Men movie universe? Or do you want it to be its own thing completely and not have any connections to the movies?
I'd say I would not want it to be a part of the MCU, so no
Right.
connections to S.H.I.E.L.D. or Peggy Carter or anything. I would not want it to be connected to the X-Men movies either. I would like it to be just its own thing. The reason being that I wanted them to be able to use all of the characters, all the best versions of every character with no restrictions, because you can't use all the best toys because they save those for the movies. You know what I mean? Like, for example, Emma Frost is already played by January Jones in the First Class movie.
Yeah.
So does that mean we can't have her unless we get January Jones to come and play her?
Right.
And if we do have her come and play, or let's say recast the character, she has all the baggage of that continuity.
Right.
And then everything has to line up perfectly with the movies. And the fact that they did not start these movies with a TV show spin-off in mind, it makes me like really uncomfortable. Something that's happened with Arrow is that they teased Harley Quinn, but didn't get to use her because even though the TV shows are not connected to the movies, they said once you back off using that character because we're going to use her in Suicide Squad next year.
Right.
So I would hate for them to have this really cool idea with a great character, and then they're like, actually, we have movie plans for this character. Don't use them.
Yeah, I totally get that. I will say that I think the MCU is off the table. Just even the fact that there's no way to even think of how that would work with what we know of the MCU to be like, there were mutants and we never mentioned them the whole time. But I do think if you look at the fact that all the X-Men movie producers are involved, and the 1960s setting for the Hellfire Club, which was specifically established in First Class, makes me think it will be the X-Men movie universe.
It is.
It probably
Flying
is.
in the face of everything I just said, it probably will be. You're
totally
right.
get what you're saying, though, right? Because sometimes, as much as we all love the continuity and the tying in, it can also sometimes handicap people and stop them from doing everything they want to do. But I think it will be connected to the movies. The casting question, could they get any of the actors to come in and out? But I think they want to. I think Avengers was such a game changer. We saw that, and I think that's why Fox was like, okay, A, we need to make more X-Men movies, and B, we want a TV outlet for it too. And so I think the idea is that now with Bryan Singer and Kinberg kind of guiding the ship, it's all one crazy story. You know?
And just real quick before we wrap up is just why Hellfire and why Legion? Like, I don't think that those are two properties anyone was like dying to see on TV. I personally would love like X Factor, or X Force or something, or just something that we have like the School of Mutants and like the professors or teachers are people who go out and like save the world in their off time, which that's like the X-Men to me. That's like the concept I like the most. So getting these other things like a secret agent infiltrating an organization and like a guy with mental problems, he's schizophrenic and has mutant powers. It's not really when I think of things I love about X-Men, it's not those things.
I agree, and X Factor is one I thought would make such a great TV show. It's got that sort of detective angle. One more total speculation, but maybe that was part of what Marvel said. Like, okay, we'll let you do a TV show, but we don't want it to be about like the main X-Men. Again, right now we have a lot of questions, guys, like I'm sure you do. But I am, I agree with you completely. These are not the things I would think of for some Legion, especially. Like Legion, he should get a TV show.
Everybody loves Legion.
Right. But it being FX and Noah Hawley instantly makes me like really excited for it. So, I guess we've seen a lot in the recent years that they can take really random comic properties and make them into really interesting stories. So, we'll see. But it's a very big surprise.
Yeah, and I'll say this, if you want to know who the Hellfire Club is, go read the Dark Phoenix saga. If you want to know who Legion is, go read. There's a lot of stories he has. They actually have a very recent run by Simon Spurrier called X-Men Legacy. Check that out. Yeah,
that's actually probably some of the best stuff ever with Legion is that. So that's our first thoughts and many questions and speculation about these two Fox X-Men TV shows, Marvel/Fox TV shows. Let us know what you think. What universe do you hope to see it set in? And why do you think Marvel made this deal with Fox in the first place? We'll have plenty more on all things Marvel and Fox and X-Men and TV and superheroes right here at IGN.